All right, let's talk about the African Championship, shall we? I know that lots of you have been waiting for my thoughts on this. First things first, I think I have covered multiple championships, and this is by far one of the worst I've ever covered. I won't lie. And I was in Asaba during the African Championships in 2018. All the records from that competition have been completely wiped out. That's to tell you how bad things were in Asaba. But this, it's next level. For a number of reasons, as a journalist, my biggest concentration at any major championships is timing, results. I need the results because those results are what will allow me to tell the stories. I can't tell if a third place athlete has qualified as the fastest loser. Yesterday, we were fighting with athletes to get results. There was a national athlete, Ghanaian athlete yesterday, Alex Amankwa, who was fighting with journalists literally at the technical meeting window, waiting for a printed hard copy of his own results because he finished third in his heat and didn't know what time he ran. So he didn't even know if his time was fast enough to qualify him for the final because he didn't qualify automatically. And he had no way of telling, and we literally had to go and huddle around a window for several minutes waiting for results to be printed and brought to us. And for the first few minutes of that, they told us the results were not ready or they didn't have access to it. So it was the results issue was a big problem. And the results are there. The finish line, the stopwatch, the timer, everything is working. The main issue is distribution. How to get the results out into the media. They created a website for it, but the results were not initially integrated into it. So there's no way of telling. Credit to them, they built another platform yesterday where they now started to upload the live results. But even that, all of the results, even as we speak this morning, are still not up on the platform. And that's a big issue. It makes storytelling really difficult. And these are all things that could have been done and tested way before the competition actually started. And I believe they did some tests during the junior championships that were hosted here in Accra. But that test, I don't know what lessons they picked from there, but clearly they've not brought those lessons into these championships because as things stand, that was a complete disaster. Even the stopwatch, the flash clock at the finish line also didn't work, obviously. So the athletes that are even finishing first don't know if they broke a record or not. They don't at that moment. And those things take a lot away from the event because if I cross the finish line and I check the clock and I see that the time is good, I am super happy. It will determine how I celebrate. How they celebrate will determine how the story is told. All those things grow and contribute to the growth and to the brand of the competition. But now athletes are just finishing and going home and spending several hours before knowing how fast they ran. It's awful. So the timing issue needs to be fixed. I've been told they're working on it. Hopefully from day 2 that works. Then there's the issue of the working area. That needs a lot of work because mixed zone is not a mixed zone because too many people that shouldn't be there are there. It's difficult to do interviews. There's no lighting and we're doing evening events. So imagine doing evening sessions with no lighting at the mix zone. So when it gets dark, you can't do any interviews because the light is terrible. It's just a small spotlight in one corner. And that is, in itself is just the ordinary stadium light. If elsewhere, they will set up the mix zone in such a way that there's light facing the walkway so that journalists can do TV interviews, radio interviews, whatever you want to do. There's enough light on the athletes. That's not done. So interviews come out of the mix zone in the evening and it looks terrible. It all is just bad. It's the little things. Then there is no television at the mix zone. When I cover world championships, I'm able to cover the entire competition concentrated on the mix zone, doing interviews, and still be able to watch the races. Because why? They put a television there. Because they understand that to ask your question, you need to know where the athlete finished. You need to know how they ran. You need to know what happened during the race. And mix zone is not set up in such a way that you can also watch the track. It's set up in another part of the stadium. So the only way those journalists can follow the event is if there's a television, so they can watch the competition even if they are not on the track. That all influences storytelling. It determines what question you ask based on what happened. So the athletes would even come, and we don't even know where the athletes finished. It's all photo finish. So there was an instance where an athlete came yesterday and said they finished second. When the results came back, they finished third. But if the results were immediately available, we would all know exactly where they finished, and we will tell them. So that has to be fixed. So there's no internet also. So a lot of the foreign press don't have internet at the mixed zone. The media center, there is no media center. There are no chairs. There's no internet there. The media tribune is taken over by supporters. The whole thing is bazaar. And as for the athletes and the issues that they're going through at the hostel, I feel very disappointed because we refurbished those hostels. We spent 16 million to refurbish those hostels. We fixed ACs, hot water, and all these things. Obviously, University of Ghana Enterprises Limited have said they've not used the ACs in all the 3 years since the African Games because the ACs have not been metered to the individual rooms. So if they fix them for the students, they wouldn't know how to charge the student and know who is using how much for the ACs. And if they slap a universal fee on it, it will be too much. I understand it, I get it, but there has to be a way. Now, when these athletes came, they then reconnected all the ACs in all the rooms that they are staying in. But the problem is because the ACs have been out of use for so long, some of them, they couldn't even find the remotes. That's what the South African athlete is talking about. We also have not released money for a lot of operational costs. So the caterers we've contracted, it's like the pre-financing that they are supposed to do to the pre-financing is away. So the food, they're rationing it for the athletes. And all of these things because the 40 million budget for the competition has not been released by the finance ministry. We cannot organize a competition without money. So I understand, and I know that a lot of the people at the sports ministry and Ghana Athletics will get a lot of the flack, but we also need to extend a lot of it to the finance ministry. I don't know what exactly is going on, and there's some really big men in the LOC. Farhan is the LOC, is the GCB managing director. He's a big man. How can they get this big? And they just donated what, $5 million US dollars, 5 million Ghana cedis to the Black Stars, and we can't get the GCB is not even one of the sponsors for this competition. I don't understand that. You know, so this is embarrassing, and a lot of these things were preventable if we had the right people in charge. Look at the television production. That's why I'm not doing commentary, because I wasn't convinced that the production would be top notch. And I don't blame the producers, because the producers are doing their best under the circumstances, because I know what it takes to get that level of coverage, because you need a games management system integrated into the television feed. So when the athletes finish, the lineup will come and you know who got a big queue, small queue. All those things are very important. Even the commentators don't have the time. You understand? So it's a whole lot of issues. I hope that day 2, day 3, they would have picked some lessons from day 1, and hopefully all of that improves going forward. But we have a lot of work to do.